Hello guys, today I decided on YouTube to show you some of my model airplanes I've done with my dad. I thought of doing something else different today. This is just going to be a multiple channel. I've not been able to get out there and fish or do any bow stuff. I was with my friend Vasil this weekend too. I hope you guys have had a happy new year so far of 2016 and a Merry Christmas. I got a belly boat, which is very nice, and a pair of waders, so look for that someday. We're going to be doing a little fish thing. So today I got the SR-71. This model I did with my dad, the SR-71 is a supersonic aircraft that can go up to the atmosphere. It was used as a spy plane in the 1960s for the military. It was being developed in the 1950s and then was used at war time in the 60s. So yeah, this is the SR-71 Blackbird. This thing, it's a pretty crazy story how this thing was developed. They said because at the time during the 60s, or kind of like right around the early 60s, they had the U-2 going on, the U-2 flying up in the air, spies. I was spying on the Russians, and the Russians at the time during the Cold War. So yeah, the U-2 was spying on the Russians, and the Russians sent up a missile and shot down the U-2. And the Army was like, well, they thought it would work a lot good because the U-2 flew a lot of missions, but they were like, it could fly long distances and it goes really high, and they never thought that a missile would go up there and get it. But so they wanted to develop something even crazy, and they wanted to find a type of metal to make an aircraft that was nice, and they thought of titanium, and so they got the titanium. But the thing was, at the time, Russia was the world's biggest titanium supplier at the time, and still pretty much is today. So they wanted to build something that was supersonic and fast. So they got titanium, and they made a fake company called Skunk Works. Now, Skunk Works was a company that would get the titanium from Russia. So Skunk Works was like a CIA formed the company and got the titanium from Russia, and they took it back to the air base, or Area 51, as you know. That's where they were testing this. Any alien guys out there who but they made the plane there. They tested the engines on the rail carts and stuff. They would test them, and then they developed the SR-71, and then it came in. So they had the first test, and when they got the fuel into it, and when they took it up in the air, the thing would burn through. It was on full fuel. They got it up there, and they flew around. And when they landed, they had leaks all over the plane, and the fuel would leak out. And they were wondering why. Like, they're saying, let's seal it up, and they're like, no, we can't do that. This is titanium. So they would let it leak, and then they would fill it up with fuel, and they got it out on the runway. When it took off, it would seal back up, which was actually pretty crazy, and then it would automatically have to be met up in the air with a tanker. So a plane would meet up with them, and they would hook it up. And as you can see right here, there's a Skunk Works sticker. U.S. Air Force. There's all the missions on the side of it, even though it was actually like a really, really silent plane, so they really didn't have all the stickers and stuff on it, but because you really couldn't see it. But I decided, hey, let's do it. It's an old model. This is what my dad got me for Christmas when I was a little kid, so he got me this, and me and him did it really well and stuff. But yeah, this is the SR-71, flew missions and then retired and the last one retired in the 90s. And none of these got shot down. They've never had any accidents with these. This was pretty much the best plane at the time, which I think they should have kept it. But I think the Russians knew their technology. So whenever, in fact, too, the thing was so fast, it went faster than a high-powered rifle. So this thing went faster than a rifle bullet or a pistol. That's pretty amazing for this plane. So this plane it would just take pictures, go fast, fly high, drink fuel. This thing could fly to Europe in about go to Europe in about an hour. It could take an hour to get to Europe instead of 5 hours or something like that. This thing was amazing. So it retired from NASA. The NASA used these things. It retired in the 1982 or 90, I don't know, but in the 90s. And there were only 16 to 15 plus pilots. That was my guess so far, but I think that's it. And it was really hard to get a license for these, but this was the first fast aircraft that could take off and land. And it carried 2 people. So the first front would be a pilot, and the back would be the photographer who would take the pictures of the ground. But that's really it, the SR-71. One of the fastest planes, except for the X-15, X-15, yeah. That was like literally a missile that somebody would sit in, and they would land it in the desert somewhere. But yeah, that's the SR-71, and see you guys later.